So this is a quick tutorial on how to add one more layer of shadow that creates the object, the effect of the object sitting on a surface. It also lets the object have some weight. So what we're going to do first is we're going to select the silhouette layer. I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to name this shadow 2, and then I'm going to drag that shadow layer below the silhouette. Then with my arrow tool selected, I'm going to click Command A on my Apple. It could be Control A, and what that does is that's select all. So you would go here, select all. My key command is Command A. Then what I'll do is on my keyboard, press the up and down arrows quickly, and what that does is it selects the object. It'll select the silhouetted object that we want to do, and I did that again by clicking the up and down arrows very quickly. So select all, that was select all, and then I did a quick up and down arrow. So I'll do it again. So Command D is deselect, and then I'll go select all, and then you'll see that the selection has the whole image selected, and then I go very quickly with the up and down arrow keys on my keyboard, and then that selects the object directly. Then I go to Edit. I want to make sure that we have the correct black. It's all the way down there, 0, 0, 0, 75, 68, 67, 90. And then we go OK. Then I go to Edit, Fill. Foreground is the correct black that we just set. Okay, so now that is filled in black. Then the next thing we do is we deselect. So we go Select, Deselect, and then Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. 1.6 is a really good starting point. Let's zoom in on this so you can see. Okay, there we go. So you can see there's the shadow there. You can't quite see it because we haven't put the blur on it yet. So then we go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, 1.6. See in this case it needs a little bit more down there on the bottom. 9.7, wow. Okay, let's see, we go okay. I'm going to back away from this a little bit. And so, yeah, maybe it needs a little more. Filter, Gaussian Blur, and so I just did another 1.6 blur, and that's probably enough. And so now what I do is, because we don't want this shadow all the way around the object, because that'll make it look flat and also make it look like it's up against the wall. We don't want that effect. Then what I do is I go in and I erase around the perimeter, all the way around the perimeter. Make sure in this case you have to make sure that you got everything, because if you zoom too far out you may leave a little bit like what I just did there. So just make sure that you go over it a few times with your eraser tool. And since this part of the object is actually up in the air a little bit more than this bottom, it's away from the surface that it's sitting on, so it's not going to be able to cast a shadow. And then I would probably stop it right about there, because then it starts to turn, then the object starts to turn up and away from the surface. So that's right where the shadow would stop and fade away. And then over here, I sometimes like to drag it out a little further, but in this case, for this example, we can leave it there. Now I'm also, while I have your attention on the shadows, I'm seeing that in this case, this shadow, where are we? This shadow is coming up around the object too high over here. Because again, it appears that it might be up against the surface on that side. So while I'm in here, just for this example, I'm going to go in and delete that just to show you. See, that's where the object's hitting the surface. And then same thing here. Again, this part of the object is actually up and off of the surface. So what I want to do is I want to delete this shadow here. See, it goes way too far up here. It looks like it's up against the wall. We don't want that. And then, see how I left that here? In this example, the shadow would come out to here, but there wouldn't be shadow here because this sits up off the surface. So anyway, that's a quick tutorial on that shadow.